This is Don't Panic, episode number 21, recorded November 12th, 2013, on Google Helping Out, ROMs apps, and overpriced glass accessories. Good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Don't Panic. It is Tuesday night. We're a little behind this week, but that's okay. We usually go Monday, but we figured let's... I know everyone was excited for the Miami Dolphins Tampa Bay Buccaneers game last night. So we said, we'll go Tuesday instead. But we're here now, and that's what's important. I'm Shaun Jennings, and I'm joined, as always, by the most amazing tech geniuses. But they couldn't be here this week, so instead we got Colby Rabideau. Colby, how's it going?
I'm okay. I have a story. Can I tell my story about my day today?
Go for it.
Yay. So, last week, I was not that productive. I went to Chicago this weekend, and it was a ton of fun. And I took yesterday off, so I came into work today, and I was like, you know what? Today's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna get so much done. So I got to work early. I was in the office by 9 a.m. Got some breakfast. Got all my stuff. Go to my desk. I get to my desk, and there is nothing on my desk. All my stuff was gone. My monitor, my keyboard, my mouse. My chair was there, luckily. My desk was still there, but all my computer things were gone. So I spent a solid chunk of morning trying to find out what happened to my stuff. And it turned out my desk had accidentally been marked as a temp desk, and over the weekend, my stuff got reclaimed by IT or whoever does that.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So at 4 o'clock, I finally got all my stuff back. They were like,
wow, they must really like you there at Facebook, Colby.
Yeah. So apparently, it got moved over the weekend, and everyone thought I either just moved without telling them or got fired or something.
Oh man, that's funny. Let's introduce our other temp employee, Dan Miller. Dan, how's it going?
Hi, I'm doing good. Can you guys see me?
It's going in and out. We hear you fine. The video's just kind of flaky. I'm weirded out.
Google Hangouts.
Hangouts has that new auto-enhance thing, and I feel like I look really waxy. Maybe it's just my monitor. It's just my monitor, but I'm gonna, for those on the video, here, I'll flip it. Well, see, all right, now my video just dropped anyway. This is the worst, Google. Stop updating things and then making them so they don't work. Ugh. Okay, there. I'm back. Okay, whatever. Screw it. Dan, as long as we can hear you, that's the important thing.
I turned my video off just to see. Maybe
yeah, keep playing with it. Otherwise, we get to look at your terrified-looking face in your profile picture. All right. Well, thanks, everybody, for joining us. It's going to be an exciting show. We got a ton of great stories and picks to go through. I'll remind everybody, our website, don'tpanic.io. There you can get all of our episodes in audio video. You can get our link to subscribe on iTunes. You can listen live there, as well as join us in the chat room while we do the show, which is a lot of fun. And our Facebook page, facebook.com/don'tpanicshow. And it's really great if you like us there, because if we have the occasional week where we shift shows, you'll get the updates there. So that's a great way to go as well. Interact and hang out. It'd be a lot of fun. don'tpanicshow@gmail.com if you have any feedback. All right, now that the housekeeping stuff is out of the way, let's jump into our stories. Any particular story you guys want to start with, or should I just pick one?
We could start with the Google Glass ones if we still have that argument fresh in our heads.
That's a great... Dan and I were going back and forth before the show even started, and I said, hold on, we got to argue so people can hear us argue. It's no fun if we just do it. So it was announced today that Google Glass was getting a major update, both hardware and software. Of course, a couple weeks back, they released sort of version 2 of Google Glass, but today they announced that there's going to be a set of stereo earbuds instead of the one mono earbud it comes with. That will be available. We'll plug into the USB port on the version 2 of the glasses, and will be available later this month for $85. They also talked that a major software update allows music integration into Google Glass. What that means is you can say, the audio command, OK Glass, listen to the Proclaimers. That was a terrible pick. I don't know why I said that. But it integrates with Play Music, which, of course, is Google's music service. Their whole theory being your music plus our music plus the cloud equals all the music. And this will integrate directly, so it'll play off of your music and music in Google's cloud into the headset that is in Glass. So, simply put, Dan thinks it's not a cool idea, and I do think it's a cool idea.
I think it's a cool idea. When you were describing it, I was like, oh, that is pretty cool, but the fact that it's on Google Glass doesn't make it any cooler. You have to plug your headphones in to really listen to music well, and the fact that they're $85 is kind of ridiculous, but you have to plug your headphones in, so why not just plug them into your phone and then just say, hey, Google, now I want to listen to Bon Jovi.
John Bovey.
And you definitely could. I mean, my counter argument is obviously it's kind of an obvious upgrade to Google Glass. I mean, it's not particularly far-fetched. It makes sense to include it. In the same way when they announce YouTube on Google Glass, we'll say, well, duh. But I just think the idea of having something you wear constantly, like Google Glass does, now that they have the prescription attachments. I mean, it's something hypothetically they want you to wear all the time. And to have music as a feature in that, I think, is a really strong concept. Because the thing about your phone is I take out my phone, I plug it into charge, I leave it on the desk, I plug things in, I unplug all day. I untangle my earbuds, I plug those in. I mean, not that it's, first world problems here at the end of the world, but I just think that having it constantly with you makes a lot of sense. And you can listen, by the way, through the one mono earbud. They just encourage you to use the stereo. But just the fact that it's there, I think is cool. But I also agree that $85 for a pair of USB earbuds after you've already paid $1,500 for Google Glass is
why doesn't it come with
outlandish. They should just give it away. The funny thing is, and actually I've got to pull up the page here, but there's a whole glass accessory store.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that launched along with the new version. And the stuff is so outlandishly expensive. It's insane to me. Let me see if I can see this here. An extra mono earbud is $50.
Nice.
An extra cable and wall charger is $50. Let's see. I know there's a microfiber cleaning cloth that is our. I mean, this is just like crazy stuff, and I'm like,
$50 is actually a deal if you consider, like, compared to Apple. Like,
that's true.
Oh, well, that's how much. I was just looking up, actually, how much an Apple charger is.
So an iPhone charger is, well, let me double check before
Although I will give Apple a little bit more credit because I have to imagine Lightning isn't a cheap technology, whereas this is just micro USB. So,
I mean, it doesn't matter though. Like, either they're all just as, it doesn't like. So for one, with Apple, you have to buy the USB cable and the wall charger.
Well, the wall charger is $20.
Right, and the never mind. It's more expensive than Apple's. The USB cable is also $20.
Yeah, I mean, right now they are, and this is not made up, a microfiber pouch to hold your glass in is $50. A microfiber pouch.
Just a pouch?
It's fabric sewn together, and you put it in, and it's $50. Like, I realize Glass is
But
supposed.
Shaun, think of the margins.
It's no, hey, good for Google. I mean, they got to be making money, and I realize they want this to be seen as a premium item. But like, I don't know. There is such a thing as too much.
I agree. It's silly, but
This coupled with their floating boutique stores really puts them in the luxury product category with this for sure.
I'm starting to think someone at Google has kind of gone off the deep end a little bit here.
we should
Sergey
just
Brin.
jobs and start making like Google Glass cases and selling them on Etsy for less than $50.
It's not a bad market.
Did you hear that the first company made money off of Google Glass by selling an app? Or it wasn't selling an app, it was in-app purchases through an app, because apparently the terms of service on Google Glass are such that you can't sell apps for Google Glass yet, but you can sell things through an app that someone has downloaded. So there's this company, the Fancy, and you can you can like visually search for things that you're looking at and buy them through the fancy.com store.
Actually, interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well it works, given, like, I know that the Google Goggles visual search app that I think probably got rolled into all the Google apps worked pretty well, but this is a question of them actually having the thing in stock that you're looking at, and I can't imagine that would be too likely, unless you're Amazon. Amazon. So that's cool.
Yeah, so Google Glass, it's the way of the future if you have $1,500 plus accessory costs.
So I had a thought on this.
Okay.
But I don't know, like, lately I've been getting annoyed at how frequently I have to take my phone out of my pocket to know.
Uh-oh.
What?
I said uh-oh.
Yeah.
Is your bank account going to become $1,500 lighter pretty soon?
I don't think so. I think I'm gonna wait. I think I'm gonna wait for the commercial one. Like, I don't need another developer preview thing. I'm tired of it.
Your Firefox phone is enough developer preview for you.
Yeah. It's so much preview. It's all the preview. It's all the preview I need. I like it, but I don't. I don't need any more. But it is. I don't know. I just don't want to have to do that anymore. And I want something. I don't know. Maybe Google Glass isn't the answer to this. But I want something that I don't have to look at if I don't want to, but I still want to know. I don't know.
I so incredibly agree with you, and I was actually really impressed with the Pebble Watch. Kickstarter's Golden Child had a big update this week, supporting iOS 7 and a lot of the new update APIs in iOS to include a ton more services.
What are update APIs?
What
are update APIs?
I'm sorry, I meant notification APIs in iOS. So
iOS 7 can send
notifications out.
Notifications in, okay.
Yeah, because before, apparently, and of course I don't know how the APIs work, but apparently what happened was your app had to be specifically written to send information to the watch and such, but now it's more built into the OS directly. So it's super easy for the built-in notification system to send it out, which means it working with a lot more apps.
Do you have a Pebble Watch?
I don't, but I kind of want one because I like the idea. All I really want is notifications. I don't even need Google Now to talk to it. If I really need to respond, I'll pull my phone out. But it's just, even if I'm, sitting in class or sitting at work or something, and my pocket buzzes, I want to just look at my wrist. I don't know. And the price is right. I mean, you chop a zero off of that Google Glass and you can get a Pebble Watch.
Yeah, that's true.
Is it the right answer? No, but I think it's really intriguing. especially with this update now that it's so much more open.
Yeah. I think if Fitbit integrated, like, the Fitbit app worked with the Pebble Watch, because it has a pedometer, right?
Yeah.
Where it can do that.
To a degree.
If that worked, I would totally get one.
It could work.
That would be.
It has an API.
I'd like to see those two companies work together.
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
I would be down.
I want to wear technologies. I want to wear it so I can just look at it. Doesn't that look good?
Actually, Shaun, I think you're onto something right there.
That's my favorite thing is
that'll be the iWatch. It'll just be like
tape it to your face and it's look, it's Google Glass.
Just like Apple's idea of a tablet was just a giant iPhone.
The screen looks like it's giant.
Yeah.
Right.
We're field of view.
It's perfect. Why didn't I think of that? Yeah. I'll corral us back onto topic. But no, I think that was some really good stuff to talk about. But I was really interested, especially because of last week's show. Right? Was it last week where we talked about KitKat and the Nexus 5 and the future of Android? And today, Cyanogenmod, the folks behind the do-it-yourself Android custom ROM, released an Android app and a Windows PC installer to make putting Cyanogenmod on any Android phone, not any, a supported Android phone, incredibly easy. The traditional problem with doing a custom ROM, and I've done it on Android phones, is that it's a pain in the butt. Oh my god, it's really, you have to root it and put on the custom bootloader, and then you have to put in the custom ROM, and then you have to, it's really just a pain. So the idea here is that their app, which is available on Google Play right now, walks you through step by step. There's no rooting. It can just be a non-rooted phone. A rooted phone doesn't matter. You plug it in, and it will wake up with Cyanogenmod on it. And
will it be rooted if it's not rooted at that point?
Yeah, I believe so. On the supported phones, it roots it.
That's crazy.
Such
a hack.
It does everything built into its one tool. Now, of course, it does wipe the phone. So, make sure you back up your goods and all that stuff. And there is only a select amount of phones that it does currently support. Most of the Nexus phones, most of the Samsung phones. Yeah. But I just thought this was really relevant to our conversation last week about this future of Android and Google's Android versus everyone else's Android, and seeing a company with their own version of Android going forward and making it so much easier for your average user that I think it could really make they could become a big player in Android, because I think so many people are fed up with the clunkier versions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys ever see Cyanogenmod going mainstream?
So I have no idea because I've never really used it.
I have. I've only used it because it's the easiest way to get like a very close to Google experience or whatever it is, vanilla Android on a given device. Mm-hmm. So, do we think that people care about that? And if not, then no, I don't. I don't think it offers anything beyond. I'm sure it does. I'll take that back. It does offer things beyond just removing crap from your phone, like Sense UI and Need for Speed Ultimate and crap like that, but I've never cared about that, so much so that I couldn't tell you what those features are.
Well, probably the biggest feature I would see if I were an Android user would be faster updates. Because that's a good
point
you're doing it yourself, you essentially bypass. Now, of course, you trust Cyanogenmod that they're not going to brick your phone or ruin it, but they'll have the new version of Android in weeks, where your carrier may have it in months, years, or never. And I think that's a big thing for users, especially when you're talking new features. I think that would definitely be an incentive that I would look into, especially if it was one click done. But I think certainly the next step for Cyanogenmod would be default installation. Devices that ship with Cyanogenmod.
Aren't they trying to do that?
They are. I don't know who they would partner with.
I mean, if Firefox OS can find partners, then Cyanogenmod should have no problem.
Fair enough, but how many of us have Firefox OS phones? I mean, it's going to be an uphill battle they're facing. But I certainly think they're.
Size we can infer about 33% of the population does.
It's true. But I just think that's really neat, and I recommend anyone who is a fan of Android or likes to play around with their phone should definitely play around with Cyanogenmod. I screwed up my phone. Warning. My old Android phone is still pretty screwed up to this day. Someone else had their phone broken. I was going to give it to them because it's just lying around. I said, I have an old phone. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. This is bootloader over bootloader and half ROMs. And yeah, it's just not a good idea. But apparently if they make it this easy, that's definitely something to try and play with and see if you like. So that is Cyanogenmod installer, and you can get that in the Google Play Store. Check if your phone is compatible. Okay, let's talk. Let's continue on the Google Play Store angle, and let's talk about America's favorite phone company, Blackberry. This young, up-and-coming, rapidly growing, uber-popular cell phone manufacturer. Oh, God, that just sounded dirty just saying it. It just didn't seem right. Apparently, there are some leaked screenshots from Crackberry, which apparently there's enough people that there's a website for fans of Blackberry.
Sean, this is the internet. There's still a website for WebOS fans that
people still bitch about that.
People still write and update apps for WebOS.
Hey, I'm sure people still do Symbian, and I know. You know me, I'm just cynical. So Crackberry, they had leaked screenshots. How true they may be, we don't know, but it would be that. These BlackBerry Z10, which is a cell phone, playing Android runtime and displaying a Google Play storefront. Now, what we already know is that BlackBerry 10 does support the Jelly Bean build of Android, meaning that baked into BlackBerry 10, there is some level of Android support. But this leak shows that it is possible that the entire Play Store could show up to BlackBerry, fixing the issue.
What do you mean there's some level of Android support, to back up real quick?
Okay, I'm just reading this article, and it doesn't say, and I'm just going to take them at their word, but I am going to do a search and see if I can find the answers to that.
Would you guys be interested in BlackBerry hardware if it ran Android?
Why would I?
I don't know. I people like their keyboards, physical keyboards, and it looks like the build quality of that most recent one was pretty nice, very Nokia-esque, kind of industrial, cool looking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're bad phones. I feel like we've moved on from the physical keyboard.
I'm sure there are some people that would go for it. I don't know.
So no, it doesn't sound like that would be interesting to you guys at all.
Well, there's 38,000 other Android phones. I don't know why I would.
There is something to be said for a physical keyboard, I think. But I don't know. I don't think I would be into that. But I'm sure some people would. But not me.
So apparently, It is possible to run any Android 2.3.3, which I think is Jelly Bean.
2.
No, actually, I think that's pre-Jelly Bean, but it's that or forward, so, current apps, to run any of them on BlackBerry 10, and that you can just sideload the SDK, and they will run.
Interesting.
Now, how the technology works, that I don't know. I wish I had done more research on this ahead of time, considering we were talking about it.
Don't we all?
Yeah. So no, I don't know specifically why. That's a good question. But yeah. So apparently, it currently can. But the problem, there is a BlackBerry Android runtime. I have no idea. So I guess the question is do you guys think this is a good direction for BlackBerry to go in? Is this a good step to just surrender and say BlackBerry App World, which I think is a terrible name, is dead, long live Google Play?
Maybe. I think it. Well, I think it to a certain extent solves their problem of not having a. This sounds douchey, but vibrant app store, like iOS or Android does, right? What I don't know is if it solves the problem of them being irrelevant now. I don't know if they'll be. I don't think that's enough to get any momentum on Apple and Android. I mean, look at. I don't know. Like that's not the. They have bigger problems, I think. I think this might be too little, too late.
I agree. I was trying to think of reasons why. I mean, none of us are BlackBerry users either, though. So, but if you're just keeping existing BlackBerry users happy, then
That could be.
Well, and they had to have some foresight to bake it into the operating system that you could run these Android apps. I mean, that's something I'm sure that didn't just happen naturally. They had to put effort into doing. So, I was curious because I didn't know. Apparently, there are about 120 BlackBerry 10 apps versus 1 million plus on Google Play. So,
That's a big difference.
It's a big difference. It's a huge difference. Although I think 120,000 BlackBerry 10 apps, I think is, though, more than are in the Windows Store for Windows 8.1. So, take that for what it is. So anyway,
there are still people who use Windows 8.1. So.
It's true. But if they opened 8.1 up to Google Play, because that would happen. That would never happen. So that's something to think about. BlackBerry, Google Play could be a match. Could be another sad step in the decline of a former tech icon.
Yeah. Dan, sorry, this is a little off topic, but did you turn off your video?
No, it's just exploded.
Oh, it's exploded?
Did you turn off his video?
I turned it down. I turned it HD off, which seemed to help for a while, but is that not helping anymore?
Well, I haven't seen, it seemed like you were just no video at all.
Am I still no video at all? Should I turn my video off and just keep it off?
Well, turn it off and then turn it back on.
Yeah, that's what I think you should do.
Are you asking me to try turning it off and back on again?
That's Have you restarted it?
Yeah, I'm about to.
I don't know if that would help.
Right,
I turned
restarted.
I disabled HD as well, so I don't know if that'll help. But I know it's been. I sometimes see me, and I whatever. I've given up on trying to figure out why it does or does not work. Because it's Google, right? They're smarter than I am. So, speaking of really high-quality video chat, let's talk about Google Helpouts.
Oh, yeah.
Because this technology works so well, Google has decided to extend it to a community of learning. Google Helpouts, Helpouts, at helpouts.google.com, is a service that connects people interested in topics to those who are experts in the topic. So, for example, I'm actually going to pull up Helpouts right now and see what are some of the top Helpouts currently available. So you can ask a guy about plumbing. You can ask a guy about lawn care. You can take rock guitar lessons. You can learn about acting Shakespeare. There's a whole bunch of categories: art and music, computers, electronics, fashion, beauty, health, etc., etc.
So this is like the iTunes-fication of Coursera.
Yeah, sort of.
You only pay for the lessons you want, not the course.
Right, and it's, I guess, and a big difference, I mean, this is completely open to anybody. I could sign up and give a help out. The way it works is
Do you get paid for your Helpouts? Google takes 30%, right?
Google does take a cut, but you don't have to charge. You can do it for free, or you can charge by the minute. Or, I think, a single fee for a session regardless of time.
Huh.
The way it works is you get a page. On that page, you put your qualifications and information about yourself. And there's also reviews. People leave you reviews. So you get rated on a 5-star system. And then you can also you put in when you're available to talk with people, or people can schedule an appointment with you in the future. I think it's a cool concept. My immediate question, though, was, well, if anyone can do this, just anyone, like, how do I know it's good?
I mean, I guess that's the, like, you rely on the early adopters to get some sort of ratings base and then go from there, right?
Yeah.
It's not like there obviously there will be a certain degree, a certain leap of faith involved for the people who are first starting.
So I'm looking through the Helpouts for cooking, and see, a lot of this is so new. A lot of these don't have reviews yet, but there are some that are $25 for 15 minutes, $1 per minute, obviously free. But I think it's a really neat way for people to make money and connect. I mean, I could imagine there's Home and Garden, and you can ask, there's a Home Advisor, which is a website, apparently, says this, and you can ask them about help with stuff you do around your home. I think that's a cool concept, especially if they're online enough where you could call and ask them, I can't get this pipe loose, I can't take this door off its hinges, and just ask somebody from your computer.
That's true. True. Oh my God! What if you could ask somebody from your Google Glass to show them what you're looking at?
That would be pretty cool.
Holy crap! This changes everything.
You solved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's cool. I was actually debating setting up a page just to give help.
What would you give help on?
I could do computer stuff. I could podcasting, because I'm on a podcast.
You're clearly an expert.
But there's people, I mean, you know, and it's really bad too, because like the cooking ones, you're like, I cooked in a restaurant for 15 years. But the ones in technology, some of them are really scary. You know, it's like, I'm good at using the internet.
A lot of people aren't very good at using the internet, though, so...
Yeah, I worry those people won't figure out how to use Helpouts. Although it seems pretty easy.
Well, this reminds me of Amazon has that.
The Mayday button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I saw today that Apple's Help website has a share my screen button on it now, which isn't quite as integrated, but clearly they're heading that way too.
Well, I think, in my opinion, I think it's a combination of computer users are getting older, and older people who had never used technology are getting it for the first time, and Kindle's a good example. But also, I have to imagine that it's more efficient and probably cost savings to do it being able to see someone's screen, being able to see somebody, being able to do it over the web. I have to imagine there's a higher turnover rate of repairs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm sure it makes sense for these companies as well as for consumers, so it's really a win-win.
I mean, cool. All right, can we do that now, or is that coming?
Helpouts is live to both participate in one and to give one.
Do you think that sounds kinky, Shaun?
You can, I'll give you a help out.
Whoa.
There's a health section. I got to see what's in the health. Maybe there's health. Although I don't know how you can give. Oh, you can give medical. This is interesting. So you can get medical advice, but it's one specific medical group and only in certain areas. So there's like, if you're in California and a member of this medical group will give you medical advice. That's interesting. Okay, so that's Helpouts. I'm thinking maybe this weekend I'll try giving a few and report back next week on how it goes. I hope well. Okay. We got one last story this week, and it is about Apple Maps, the Nickelback of mapping solutions. In that, regardless of how good or bad it is, you just assume it's bad and mock it. Well, that's no more. I guess it is. Because some metrics were put out by ComScore, and I'll read off some numbers here about Apple Maps. Apple Maps was used by nearly 6 out of every 10 iPhone owners, 60%. And let's see. And Google Maps shed an estimated 22 million users on Android and Apple, presumably most of that being on iPhones. So it's interesting to see, and I wanted to put this article in the rundown to sort of follow up on the question of, just because a product is on a device, even though it's not the best, does that mean people will just use it?
Do people use iTunes Radio?
Just being on the device. I mean, it's the only. Like, iOS doesn't allow you to integrate other apps like you can in Android. It doesn't, Google Maps is no longer a first-class citizen. So if you're using the default Apple Maps, all you're going to get is Apple Maps. I mean, if you're using the default Apple apps, all you're going to get directed to is Apple Maps. So guaranteed, pretty much everyone who owns an iPhone is gonna open Apple Maps once in a while. It's not like
that's true.
It's just a fact of life. Like you're not gonna get away from that. So I don't think this is surprising at all, and I don't think it means Apple Maps is better or more desirable. It just is. It's there.
It's so baked in that.
Yeah, I found myself, if I'm looking at a place to get directions to it, I'll highlight the address and copy it and open up Apple Maps and paste it in. But if I'm just looking for like where generally it is, then I'll just let it open up the regular Apple Maps and be like, oh, okay, it's over there. But if I want to get specific transit directions, all I do in New York is transit directions. I don't ever get driving directions. So I need Google Maps. Apple Maps won't do it.
It's true. It's true.
It's an interesting concept, and it just proves to, when they dropped Google and went for their own option, people questioned whether that was going to be bad for Google or good for Apple or what. But I think these numbers really do prove that sometimes the best solution is the one that's most built in.
Well, I mean, it's like the best camera is the one you have with you.
Yeah.
It's not the best camera, but it's there, and they do their best to force you into it. So
that should be their slogan: Apple Maps, we force you into it.
Right. You know it's good for you. And
I like the Nickelback of mapping solutions. I think that's a great tagline.
Oh, man, and people mock, and when you use it, people mock you, and they say, "Why would you do that?"
Worse than Google Maps. There's a spot by my apartment getting onto the highway where it routinely lies to people.
I didn't.
Luckily
they haven't improved that close to Cupertino.
What?
They haven't improved that close to Cupertino.
I guess no one drives down Potrero Avenue and gets on 101 with Apple Maps.
You would think it would be a priority.
Everyone in the world knows approximately where Colby lives.
Just giving out directions. Oh yeah, 5 miles down the 405 past the. Yeah, I didn't tell you guys. Did I? I don't think I did that. I'm on Google Street View.
I saw that on some social media apparatus.
It was like it's the biggest accomplishment of my life. Like, and it was funny because this was like 3 years ago. I was driving down the street.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it was weird, and it was the Google Maps car, and I waved, and I kept every year, or every 6 months or so, I'd check back to see if they posted it, and they finally did.
Wow.
I want to see this.
I feel like I'm famous. Let me
famous.
Share that screen.
See, the problem is I can't.
But
yeah, this technology. But yeah, it's right outside of Marist College, going south on Route 9, right outside the Applebee's. If you really must know. Okay, what a wonderful non sequitur. What a wonderful group of stories. I'm glad we could get through all of those. It was a bit of a slow news week, but I think we had some good stories. And we'll have even more wonderful coverage next week. But let's move on to our picks. I went last week, so if that's okay, I'll go first this week. I very briefly wanted to mention, I know last week somewhere during the show I mentioned the fact that I pre-ordered Double Down, Game Change 2012, which was about the 2012 election. And that I pre-ordered it on Kindle and it would just show up the next day. I burned through that book in like 3 days, and it was so unbelievably good. So I highly recommend checking out. It's on the top of the chart, so you should be able to find it. But it's a Double Down, Game Change 2012, and it's about the 2012 election. And it is a fascinating, awesome book, and I could not put it down, and I read through it in like 3 days. So that's a good book recommendation if you're interested. It's a really interesting story even if you're not into politics, so something to think about. As far as my actual pick this week, sometimes there are apps that do a lot of things, and then sometimes there are apps that do one thing really well. I went today with an app that does one thing really well. And that's an app called Weather Notifications. That's the name of it, Weather Notifications. It's on iOS. Well, I said it does one thing, and I wasn't kidding. It's Weather Notifications. And I do a list of things every morning when I get up, and I grab the phone, and I look at it. I check my email, and one of the things I always do is check the weather. But usually that entails having to go open an app, go into the Weather Channel or whatever, look at what the temperatures will be throughout the day, look at the precipitation. Not that it's the biggest hassle in the world, but sometimes I just want to get the weather right away when I look at my phone in the morning. So what this app does, I hope you can see my camera because I'm going to try to. So it's this little umbrella here, Weather Notifications. And you'll see here it just says drizzle in the morning. This is all it does, but I'll show you. When I wake up every day, I get this little notification, and it just says light rain in the morning, low 28, high 48. That's it. And it just every morning on the front of my phone, it gives me the weather. It's so unbelievably simple. In the app, you can. This is really the only part of the app. You can adjust the alert settings. Now, it is a brand new app. I expect they'll update it right now. You can only put in one location. It doesn't track your location. So if you move, it's only for one set. But you can have it alert you in the morning, in the afternoon, give you a daily summary, alert you when there's rain. If the temperature goes below a point or above a point, if the wind goes above a certain mile per hour, you have some flexibilities about the alerts, but all it does is send you a notification about the weather, which is something I have yet to find another app that does. Just a notification about the weather. That's all I want in life. So it is $1.99, so it's not free, but and it's not for everybody. But if every morning you just want to quickly look at the weather before you get dressed, I highly recommend weather notifications. It's what I was looking for, and I'm sure there's someone out there who's looking for the same thing. So iOS $1.99, it's weather notifications. And that is my pick this week. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Go for it.
All right. So my pick for this week I discovered this morning, and it's a website called Sherpa with 2 A's, SHERPAA.com. And I'm going to share my screen with the magic of technology. So basically, what this does is kind of like TaskRabbit for only health-related things. So it can do two things, it can do two things, and then I'll give caveats in a second. It provides a service where you can email or call a doctor and ask questions. So if the problem this is solving is if right now, if you have a problem, if you perceive a problem with your body, your two options are, one, go to the emergency room and incur thousands of dollars of expenses, whether it's actually a problem or not, or two, ignore the problem and in New York wait on average 24 days before you'll see a primary care physician with an appointment, see them, and then decide whether it's a problem or not. And what this allows you to do is email or call a doctor and get their opinion on which one of those two options you should do, basically. So that's pretty cool. That service, I believe, is available to anyone, anywhere who uses this. The other service they offer is the ability to answer your questions about your health insurance. So if you have a question like, where's the nearest podiatrist covered in my network, they can find that out. They can give you recommendations. They can answer all sorts of things. So it's pretty cool. It looks like it will save me from learning a lot of things that I was expecting to have to learn really soon. So definitely encourage your company to do this as a benefit to you. And yeah, they also have an app, but I don't think you can just download it, or maybe it's just a mobile web app. I couldn't find it in the App Store.
Wait, does your company do this?
It does, in fact.
What?
As of this morning, which was pretty exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's very timely with all this discussion of healthcare.gov and the digitization of healthcare. I think it's a really cool concept.
Yeah, you can refill prescriptions by phone. Find best prices on medication. I don't know if you guys have heard of these, what I call FSAs, flexible spending accounts. They can help you find things to pay down your FSA with. So the way FSAs work is you say, I am going to spend $2,000 on healthcare for myself this year out of pocket. I'm going to charge it with this debit card that my health insurance company gave me, and then it will be tax-free, which is great. Saves you hundreds of dollars. Except if you don't spend all that money, then you lose it. But there are a lot of things you can spend it on, like sunscreen, contact solution that people don't think about, and so they'll answer those kind of questions too, which is pretty cool. So that's my pick, SHERPAA.com.
It's like a healthcare concierge.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome sauce. All right. Colby, I see here in the document you have this new service for four squares. the four squares, Colby. Why four?
Yeah, I don't know. Something about I don't. Foursquare is a thing. Like, isn't it like a game or something?
It is. And just a brief. The original product these guys came up with was Dodgeball, which they sold to Google, and then they followed it up with another kind of schoolyard game, Foursquare.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah. So my pick this week is Foursquare, and I suspect most people have heard of Foursquare. But so like I mentioned at the beginning of our little chat here, I went on a trip this weekend to Chicago. I had never been to Chicago, so it was exciting. And I don't typically like to plan things. So for example, like I bought my plane tickets and I booked a hotel, and that was about all the planning I did for the weekend. So once I got to Chicago, I've been using Foursquare for a long time, but I did not realize until this weekend how useful it has gotten since they kind of pivoted into the review, ratings, things to do, tips, all that stuff. I almost didn't open another app on my phone this entire weekend. Everything I did, I found on Foursquare. All the directions I got through Foursquare. I saved everything to a list so I didn't have to search for it again. That's one of the most annoying things about Google Maps is you always have to search for stuff. And then like most of the time your recent results, like your recent search history comes up like right away, like it's locally cached. But if it's not in the first two or something, you're like waiting on the network for it to fill in. So having the list is awesome. Along the same lines as our earlier story, when you request directions from within the Foursquare app, they give you a choice of Apple Maps or Google Maps, which is wonderful. The tips are super useful. I also just philosophically, I think it's a much less biased sort of review or a gauge of quality of a place than Yelp is, because it's not a review. It's not asking. Foursquare never asks you if a place was good or bad, which I think is a very like emotional question to ask. Foursquare asks you for a tip. Another thing I like a lot is that when you check in at a place, they ask you things that Foursquare doesn't yet know about the place. So they'll ask you, for example, does the place have Wi-Fi? And if enough people who check in confirm that the place does in fact have Wi-Fi, that'll go up on their listing. They also ask you things like, do they take American Express? Do they take credit cards at all? Do they have outdoor seating? All kinds of things like that.
I've also seen them ask, is this place wheelchair accessible?
Interesting.
What's their phone number, I get asked.
I've never seen that one. Yeah. They do things even if they don't have the hours for a place, they can kind of estimate the hours by what times people check in. So you can get a relative sense of when people check in, and we found that those were quite pretty accurate. I mean, like obviously there's some variance with the actual hours, but if a place is closed on a day, you can usually figure it out because no one checked in there that day. So it is really awesome and really, really useful, and you should fucking everybody should use it all the time.
I use it all the time if I'm with people and they're like, we want some beer. I just open up, it doesn't matter where we are, open up Explorer, press the beer button, and it shows me all the nice places for beer and giving all sorts of great metadata, and the tips are really informative. Some of the cost savings ones are really informative too.
Yeah.
I forget where it was. It was at like Shake Shack or some place like that, and they're like, "Oh, just get the kids." Yeah, I was at the seafood place in Connecticut, and the tip was get the kids meal version of the clam dinner because it's just as much clams, for like $5 less. Things like that. It's really great. Also, their website has gotten a lot better. The desktop website is pretty great. I know people who just use Foursquare as their only social network because, especially in a place like New York, like you can see where everyone is and what they're doing, what sorts of things they do. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I did want to quickly say two things. One, a couple months ago, they put out a Windows 8 app in Metro that is awesome. It's one of the best Metro apps I've seen.
Good for them.
And it's one of the real good examples of how to do a Metro app. So I recommend that if you're running Windows 8 or 8.1. And the other thing is, I sort of see Foursquare is to Twitter what Yelp is to Facebook. And it's kind of like, not that there's something good or bad about the other, but to me, Yelp is about the long review and the step-by-step through the meal and an in-depth look at each plate, whereas Foursquare's like, 140 characters. Let's go. Quick, short, to the point. And I feel for some people one is better for the other, but I really like the Foursquare method where it's just a quick tip to the point. I get it. You can scroll through them really quick while you're looking for a place. I love what Foursquare's done.
Foursquare is especially shines when you're on the go, like when you're walking down the street and you're trying to find some place to get some food. I think that's when it's the greatest because the tip, exactly like you said, the tips are like 2 sentences, not 2 pages. And
it's great that they're tips. It's not that it's good. It's not that it's bad. It's that you should get this or avoid this or go on this day or, I want to know that kind of stuff. It's like insider secrets for restaurants and bars and all kinds of places. So it's a pretty cool service.
Absolutely.
So
and the informational tidbits they give you regarding your check-ins and your check-in history, I find very entertaining.
Yeah, did you see when they did? I don't know if they're still doing it, but it was a promotion with Samsung, and you had to opt into it. But they did like a little timeline of all your check-ins, and it would show and they would go through the time, and you would see like a little arrow that would bounce to each place, and then if you traveled, it'd have a big line, and there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with that data.
Yeah,
I don't know whatever happened to that. Awesome. Well, a couple really great picks. I recommend all of them because we made them our picks, so therefore they are good. Because we said so. Wonderful. Well, that takes us to the end of this fantastic edition, this Tuesday night special edition of Don't Panic. We will be back next Monday at our usual time, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Mountain. You should definitely check us out live at don'tpanic.io. And when you join us live, it's a lot of fun. You can join us in the chat room as well. We love interacting during the show and getting feedback because you hear enough of us. We want to hear from you too. But if you can't join us live, of course, audio and video after the fact on our website, don'tpanic.io. And definitely 100%, you should 100% subscribe. And if you subscribe on iTunes, great. If not, we have the RSS feed available as well. So you'll know right away when the published versions come out. You can download it, have it for your drive home, your jog around town, what have you. So great way to go, facebook.com/don'tpanicshow, and all the rest. And with that, I think we'll call it a night. Anything else from you guys?
Shaun, I think moving forward, like we're definitely starting to branch out now. We have like 2 listeners, so you should probably list off all the other time zones in the world too, like whatever.
There's 10 p.m. Central. Those are really the only ones I know is the U.S.
Well, you're
about Hawaii,
man.
I know.
You're the professional here.
Ireland is 5 hours ahead of Eastern. England is 6. Internet. I'll work on that for next week.
Right.
And by the way, if you are an international listener, email us. If you are outside the U.S., I want to hear to prove that we're not crazy when we mock our viewers.
I think we should have a time zone pick of the week as well.
We just pick a time zone and celebrate it. Well, then I'm calling my pick is going to be that one part of the world that doesn't have a time zone and they refuse to conform. I forget where that is. But there's one little area that's kind of cut around.
Nice.
I got to find that. But yeah, so if you are from outside...
Just do one a week, though. We can't do...
And then after 12 weeks, we'll start over.
Yeah. Maybe one a month or something.
One a month. There you go.
We'll figure it out. We'll brainstorm off the air.
Yes. And if you are international, email us, don'tpanicshow@gmail.com. Let us know your favorite time zone. Maybe we'll feature it on next week's show. Well, with that, let's sign off for the night. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next week for another exciting edition of Don't Panic. Good night.